Hello, I'm Andy and welcome back to Vectra News for the week of the 11th of January 2014. Coming up in this week's episode, DayZ Early Access sales reach 875,000 copies, Titanfall capped at 12 players, the Oculus Rift is upgraded, and the PlayStation Now streaming service is detailed. Bohemia have announced that the standalone version of DayZ has sold over 875,000 copies on early access since its launch just before Christmas, despite recommending players to avoid purchasing it in its alpha stage. Unsurprisingly, many bugs have surfaced during the 3 weeks the game's been out, but that's what alphas are designed to do. Now if we look at the figures, we can determine one of two things. Number one, there are a ton of foolish people out there who've just too much money to burn. Or 2, the game has a ton of community support coming across from the mod, wanting to help the game grow and expand. The boss of Bohemia has stated that the game is unlikely to reach its beta status until the end of 2014. At present, the following items are on the DayZ's to-do list: improve the server performance, stability and security, adding animals and hunting, cooking and gathering resources, playable user customizable vehicles, player-created constructions in the environment, more complex interactions with the environment and crafting options, control and animations expanded and improved for fluidity, upgrading the graphics and physical engine, and support for user mods with more flexibility for user-hosted servers and game types, although this list is subject to change. DayZ Early Access is available on Steam and from Bohemia's store. Respawn's Vince Zampella announced this week that their upcoming game Titanfall will have a player cap of 12 people, that's 6 people per team. Now this has caused a lot of controversy on the internet. Why can't it have more players, people have been asking. Respawn have apparently done a fair amount of research with player counts to find the sweet spot, which they believe is 6 players per team. If we take some other games as an example, Counter-Strike in its competitive form has a team size of 5 players. Team Fortress 2, again competitively, has teams of 6 or 9 players. Awesome Orcs has a 6-player cap, and if team sizes start rising above these numbers in the games, it becomes less fun. It also looks like Respawn are taking a leaf out of MOBA games books. Along with 12 players, each team will have 12 AI-controlled grunts. Now they say the reason for this is, unlike their human pilot counterparts, they won't have the ability to jump all nimbly-pimbly around the map like a cat. They'll be there to aid new players, show them where to go, and act as fodder to reduce the amount of time you have to wait to call in your Titan. They're not there to replace humans, they'll just add another layer to the game, and if left to their own means, they'll probably default to attacking other AIs. The Titans are also going to add a third layer to the game. What's actually intriguing to me is the fact that you can either jump in a Titan or give it commands such as guard or follow. I have to say, after the announcement initially, the game sort of lost a bit of interest to me, but doing research about what they've looked at and the fact that if you take into account all of the AI, there's going to be a maximum of 48 people per map, the game has started to get quite exciting again. Titanfall will be out on the 11th of March in the US and the 13th of March in Europe for the Xbox One, 360 and PC. The Oculus Rift prototype has seen a further upgrade, which they're calling Crystal Cove. Now this is the third iteration the Oculus team has shown off. This latest model not only upgrades to a full 1080p, it now features enhanced positional tracking and motion blur technologies. The last two features are really important in its development, as I know from a first-hand experience how sick I felt after using the last prototype. This will basically mean that the Rift will be able to tell if you're trying to peek around a corner or duck down. They've decided to go with a camera tracking small LEDs dotted all over the Rift itself, although this might not be their final solution. The Rift now also features OLED screens which will help reduce the smearing and motion blur. It's still not the perfect solution to VR, and this particular model is optimised for a person sitting down and is yet to be tested with the Vectra Omni. Although I think the most exciting part is Oculus say this new technology will still keep the Rift around the $300 mark. Oculus is still to finalise release date, which will hopefully be in the next year, but I'll be happy to wait a little longer to have my VR experience homed in, especially after the $75 million cash injection Oculus has recently received. Sony announced PlayStation Now this week, which is the streaming service built on the Gaikai system, which was acquired back in 2012 by Sony. PlayStation Now will allow users to stream games to their PlayStation 3, 4, Vita, 2014 model Bravia TVs, and most interestingly, tablets and smartphones. In order to have a decent experience, Sony have said you'll need at least a 5 MB per second connection. They've also announced users will be able to rent games on an individual basis or via a subscription service. They haven't said if this will be on top of the PlayStation Plus subscription players already need to play online. However, I think we can safely assume it will be. The closed beta is set to start in the States at the end of January, with a rollout expected in the summer. At the time of recording this, the availability in other regions is unknown. Now, I think the most interesting part of this is the fact that you'll be able to use smartphones and tablets. I've played various games on my iPhone and have to say that games designed for controllers just don't work that well. Now, Sony haven't said if they intend to enable the DualShock 4 to work with such devices, although I can't really see me playing on my phone with it propped up against the wall with me squinting at a tiny screen. They also didn't clarify which tablets and smartphones it will be compatible with. If you look at the current market share of Sony smartphones in the US and China, it's not too good, and it doesn't look like Sony are going to be planning on breaking into the US smartphone market in 2014 either. But will it make sense for them to offer the service on iOS and Android platforms? It would seem strange. And also, will we have to tether them to a particular device, or will you just be able to use the service without owning a PlayStation console at all? These are all questions Sony have yet to answer. That's all for Vectra News this week. Make sure to like, favourite, subscribe and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date with everything on the network. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.